Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the breakdown of the main card for UFC Fight Night Cheeto versus Sandhagen. Apologies, first of all, for the sound issues yesterday. It sounded like I was underwater. I hope I have them sorted now. We have finally cracked 100 subscribers, so again, thank you so much to every single one of you. If you stop by, please remember to like, subscribe, and write a comment. Let's get into this. Alright, we have two fighters now that are coming off pretty bad losses. Duraev got his eye mauled by Buckley, who is very hot and cold, but generally tough. With a name like Duraev, you instantly think Russian serial killer, but the guy is just not the most intimidating. Chidi was putting motherfuckers in body bags and almost did the same to Rodriguez in his last fight, giving that man one of the nastiest cuts I've ever seen in the octagon. Doctor should have stopped it, you could almost see his skull. He ended up gassing out though and ended up getting finished in the second, however. It happens, Robocop is pretty dangerous. Chidi is very strong and I think he's going to be able to stop Duraev from taking him down, which I think will decide the outcome. I think he keeps it standing and Duraev just doesn't wear damage very well. I'm taking Chidi to get stoppage by KO or maybe even a doctor stoppage in the second round after hurting Duraev in the first and getting his respect. Chidi can bang, and I think he bounces back here. Alright, this is a little risky because Kape fights like he has a brain the size of a fucking grape at times, but he's found that balance between being patient and active in his last few, and has the talent in all areas to negate some of the moronic choices he makes at times. Kape isn't quite at the level of Perez's two last opponents, Figueiredo and Pantoja, who made Perez look like he doesn't belong in there. But I think at this stage of their careers, I don't think he's going to need to be that good. If this fight was taking place 5 years ago, I'd have a much harder time making a pick here. But I think Kape is bigger, stronger, can crack, and I think he will hurt Perez at key moments to win a decision. I'm going to say that Perez makes it tough here. Kape has a way of making things more difficult than they should be because of the aforementioned retardation I alluded to. But I think he will have the better moments in 2 of the 3 rounds to win a clear 29-28 decision. Perez is good, and I just think Kape is better. And he has to win this to prove he's worthy of taking on a top 5 opponent next. Ugh, fuck off. Alright, I think Barber is criminally overrated, but I'm going to pick her in this one. Angela Lee has one of the weirdest career paths I've ever seen. She beat Antonina Shevchenko, who is a lot like Valentina, her sister, but without the striking, the grappling, the strength, the fight IQ, the accolades, the belts, and let's be honest, the same parental love and pride at home, I imagine. She also beat Carvalho, who, all jokes aside, is actually very decent. She's lost to Roxanne Modafferi though, my favorite female fighter, who is so shit. She also lost to Wood and a cracked out looking Lauren Murphy. I really do need to stop being so mean about her. She's actually alright. Those 2 losses look dreadful though. Comparatively, Barber is with a good gym that gives her a lot of focus. She's young, she's improving from fight to fight. And while I think the hype is unwarranted, I expect her grappling advantage will be enough to deal with Lee. I think this is going to be a unanimous decision for Barber. I think that's the play to make here. And we're all going to feel a hell of a lot dumber for having sat through this. Alright, Nate the Train. This is another risky pick. Nate looked really fantastic in his last bout against the highly touted Anana, another overrated wet wipe. The losses to Herbert Burns and Julian Erosa by devastating KO are a little bit worrying to me, and it's very difficult to know what Nate you're going to get in there. But I think if you let him ease into a fight, then his toughness and grit just wear you down, and I don't think that Lingo is going to carry the same one-hit KO power at this level. Despite having some wins like this earlier on in his record against supermarket trolley boys. For that reason, I'm going to pick Nate the Train here. He has the volume and pressure to build into as the fight goes. I do think he's going to face some adversity in the first round, so if you pick Nate, you're going to be shitting yourself in the first round. I reckon Lingo catches him a few times and ekes out the first round, with both men having their moments, but then I think Nate's pressure takes over as the fight goes on. He starts building up the volume, and I think he takes the last 2. Very nice matchup. If it goes past the first round, Nate has this in the bag. I hate this fight, and not for my usual reasons, and by those I mean my contempt for women's MMA. For me, this fight goes in two directions. Either Holly beats her up with really slick boxing, or Yana Kunitskaya, now Santos, presses her up against the cage and makes it really ugly. A few years ago, as I said with the other fight up the card, I would have picked Holly with no hesitation, but sooner or later her age has to catch up with her. I'm gonna pick her here though, and this could wind up being very frustrating to watch. Santos can make it seriously hideous to watch in there, and because of my outright contempt for her fighting style, I have to go with Holm. I think she has a massive advantage standing, is experienced enough to avoid the clinch and circle out when Yana tries to pressure her to the cage and try to dry hump her. Thiago Santos is probably going to be watching from the corner and just cucking away to his heart's content. It's marginally better for the division if Yana wins, with Holm being ready to crumble to dust at any second. I don't care about this division though, so I hope Holly has a nice win here and just goes away. Alright, thank you, Jesus. Despite how uneventful this card could potentially be, with the lack of star power, this is a fantastic main event, and it does kind of matter. I think the guy who wins this fight will be the next person that Merab gets to ruin, so a lot is on the line here. A lot of people have gone back and forth on this one, but surprisingly, I haven't really wavered from my pick at any time on this one. I'm going with Corey Sandhagen. Vera is really outstanding and grows into the fight the further it goes, but he is such a slow starter, and I think this will cost him against a guy like Corey in there. Vera has phenomenal leg kicks, and against a guy with lengthy limbs like Corey, this could be a really nice game plan that Vera goes to break him down. I feel like I'm always trying to talk myself out of this one. Both men have high fight IQ, both are tough, both are skilled. I just think that Sandhagen will rack up a lead in the first three by picking shots at range, timing things well. Vera I then expect to take over in the last two, but I think he's going to find it hard to finish Corey, who's then settled into the fight in the final two. I think we're going to see a decision here that's a little bit close and contentious, but one that Corey ultimately gets over. It's a great matchup, it makes sense for the division, but as I alluded to, is ultimately pointless outside of being a fun matchup, unless something drastic happens between Aljamain Sterling and Cejudo to really shake the division up. I'm going to take Corey, but this one is going to be razor close. Alright, thanks again to all of you. I'm trying to string together a few shorts this week, so look out for those. Kindly drop a comment if you have an opinion. I'll always respond, and it's nice to add to the conversation at times. I'll be moving to live streaming once we hit a certain level, so if that's not incentive enough to see my ugly mug, then I don't know what is. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you all for the next one.